Hello, everyone. Hope the day is going well. I'm gonna put back here and we will get started. We'll wait just a few moments here and then get started. And if possible, if everyone can mute themselves for the presentation, and then what we'll do is we'll open up for Q&A afterwards, and then we can have kind of open discussions there. And for anyone new joining, we're just gonna wait about 2 to 3 more minutes before we start. Usually just kind of give some people some grace time before they join. And then we'll get started here in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to get started here. I'll go through introductions here in a moment, but just want to thank everyone for joining initially, and we will kind of keep things moving in the right direction. So this is Indiegogo's webinar specifically about crowdfunding go-to-market strategy session. So what's some of the importance with launching, whether it's your first campaign or maybe perhaps you've done multiple crowdfunding campaigns, how we can identify the value in them. Okay, so agenda, like I said, we're going to go over introductions to Indiegogo, followed by a general overview, and then specifically crowdfunding with Indiegogo, what values we can align, and then that will be followed by a product demo and then a Q&A session. And if we have time, I like to do one-on-one consultations and breakout rooms if available too. Who am I, right? So my name's Brian Letzter. I'm the Senior Account Executive here at Indiegogo. And my kind of background ranges kind of all over the place, right? I was, prior military experience to owning and operating my own, software company, and then also dabbling into the crowdfunding space, even when I was a founder. So like I said, I worked in the EdTech SaaS space. And here at Indiegogo, I really work with some of our top clients on identifying kind of the best strategic plays while, also identifying market gaps or market needs and how to, systematically approach them for success. So helped a lot of founders or even enterprise clients raise millions of dollars here at Indiegogo. And also, I really enjoy doing these webinars too, because I try to keep it as insightful as possible. So while we do this, I'm also going to monitor the chat. So feel free to ask questions as we move along, and we can always address those, during or towards the end there as well. And then also we have Ani joining the call too. Ani, are you here today? Oh, looks like Ani is not here today. So Ani is our business development representative, and she's great. So if you've kind of communicated with her in the past, she used to work for one of the largest crowdfunding agencies out there, TCF, the crowdfunding formula. And she has a really immense background in social media content creation and digital media buying space. So we have a really tight-knit team here at Indiegogo, and we're all quite personable. So we're always encouraging to connect with us in any capacity. Okay, so attendee intros. I like to kind of use this time. Look, webinars can be really dry and boring. I've been part of those ones, right? I'm sure we all have, right? So I always encourage you use this time too. We have a lot of people in this room, so use it also as a networking event, right? You can connect with people in the chat, see what people are doing, and maybe there's some synergy there. So if interested, I always try to encourage, you can put your name, kind of what you're working on, and just kind of community asks and see who's listening, right? Okay, so kind of diving more into the content now. So if your first question is what is Indiegogo, it's a pretty valid question, right? So Indiegogo, we founded the first crowdfunding platform, and today we're one of the world's largest. A really simple mission, right? It's a mission to empower founders in bringing their ideas to life. So what does that kind of look like, right? From a demographic and statistical perspective, we get about 24 million users per month on Indiegogo platform. So no shortage of web traffic being directed to our pages and campaigns. We've raised about $2.5 million with all of our crowdfunding campaigns. We work in 237 countries and territories. I believe that's even gone up now. And we're just shy of about 1 million entrepreneurs who have kind of successfully launched campaigns on the platform. Fun fact too, we're also a leader in the green tech space. So, we really strive to be sustainable here with our efforts as well. Okay, so a really key question, right, is what makes up the Indiegogo audience, and why that's important, right? I think there's a really key knowledge here with any crowdfunding platform, Indiegogo included, is you need to know what crowdfunding is, right? Crowdfunding at the end of the day is an e-commerce platform in a sense, where whether you're a startup or perhaps you're a backer looking for campaigns that align with kind of your daily needs or what you're trying to look for from a consumer perspective. So here, kind of just a quick breakdown, right? Our consumers, about 16% of them are early adopters. So when you launch a campaign, you could look to kind of see these statistics in play where about 16% of people backing your campaign, they want it. Price isn't an issue. You could think of these as kind of your diehards, or the people that, have been following you for months and just really love your products. They're going to be, backing your campaign regardless. That makes up about 16% of your campaign audience. But as you can see, the large majority, 68% are price is an important decision factor. And really what that alludes to, right, is that people on Indiegogo are in fact looking for exclusive deals before you hit big box brands, right? So let's say your next plan is to go into Amazon Marketplace or Walmart or Lowe's or you name it, right? the audience of Indiegogo are really looking for those exclusive prices, and also being those early adopters where, believe it or not, when you launch a campaign on Indiegogo, you'll really be able to interact with your audience to ensure you build the best product or service. So, a big majority, that price is very key. And then the remaining 16%, we define as the laggards. These are people that may or may not have been following your campaign throughout its duration of being live, and sometimes they need a little extra push to back the campaign, or perhaps they're also looking at how successfully funded is it, right? Is it 10% funded with 2 days remaining, or is it 200% funded with 2 days remaining? What kind of drives people to back a campaign in scenarios like that? So happy to talk more about that too. Okay, so general overview, right? I'll take a quick brief pause here. I see chat questions coming in. Like I said, we'll address those at the end. Once upon a time, I tried to keep this more interactive with chats being involved in it, but it really pushes the time limit. So I will get to those questions at the end. Okay, so here's a fun slide. I think this is a very fun slide because it's so simple and it drives home a really key point. So, who here believes, right, with crowdfunding, if you build it, they will come, right? That right there, as I exit out, is one of the biggest fallacies and myths of crowdfunding. What that really alludes to is that when you build a crowdfunding page on Indiegogo, it's very difficult to essentially get backers there without you initially driving the traffic there. It's a really key part that you have to let your audience or your ideal buyers know that you are in fact live, and you need to drive traffic to those pages. So if you do build it, you need to ensure that your audience knows, and then they will come, right? So, crowdfunding is still really challenging. A big deal of this is when entering new markets, you have a lot of different things that you have to take account for, whether that's manufacturing, shipping and fulfillment, or just time of delivery, right? So, if you're trying to launch a worldwide product or breach the US market, there's a lot of moving parts to that. So here's the kind of the 4 very big elements of a crowdfunding campaign, and why launching on Indiegogo is really powerful for any stage business, really, whether you're in a prototype stage or you already have inventory, you can leverage crowdfunding. And I'll start off, right? The biggest reason is, one of the biggest reasons at least, is you gain additional exposure. So going back to one of those early slides, we get about, just shy of 25 million users, visiting monthly. A lot of them are consumers. They're shopping around. So when you launch a product itself, you can take advantage of our guaranteed promo channels. We have a marketing channel that, the more your campaign raises, the better we start slotting you into promo channels, thus, creating a more and more exposure to only benefit your campaign. This next part, not a lot of people think of this with crowdfunding, but there's really powerful case studies with this. That second point of attracting capital and partners. So crowdfunding you can use for a lot of different reasons, right? You can use it to fund the next leg of your business. You can fund it to get your first product out there. Or perhaps, right, you could even have a crowdfunding campaign as just an awareness campaign, right? So I'll actually share a video at the end, and it's a real world example of how launching a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo actually has opened a lot of doors for companies to then have conversations with angel investors or VC networks. Because at the end of the day, what a lot of angel groups or VCs are looking for they're looking for validation in a market with a product. And that's exactly what crowdfunding does, is you get to launch your product or service. You're working with your ideal customer on what works, what doesn't. So you're getting product feedback, and you're also making a splash in a new market, for example. The third point here, the raise funds ahead of manufacturing. Probably one of the most crucial parts of crowdfunding, right? So a very traditional model of business is you had to build a prototype, you then had to work on the design, and then you had to manufacture and ship it, right? Those last two stages cost a lot of funds, right? Manufacturing and shipping is definitely a big part of a business, and it has a lot of overhead. Where crowdfunding, what's really neat of how it's flipped that on its head is you can have a prototype, and you can essentially raise funds ahead of your manufacturing. So you essentially have kind of a better prediction and better scope of manufacturing cost, rather than pushing a product out and then getting feedback. You can kind of do things in this reverse order, and a lot of cost savings are behind raising funds ahead of manufacturing here. And last but not least, you have product validation. I can't stress this part enough. Product validation is the bread and butter of crowdfunding. You as whether you're, like I said, whether you're a very established brand or a brand new startup launching your first products, crowdfunding has an ecosystem where you can gain customer feedback. You can understand how people are using it, what audience is using it. Maybe it's a totally different type of buyer you expected. So you can get a lot of investigative answers here by crowdfunding. Okay, so here, the very simplistic macro level 3 steps of what you should launch with, right? Number one, right? You got to have a working prototype. You have to have some sort of product or service that is a prototype that you can essentially launch a crowdfunding campaign with. Number two, going back to my point, you really need to drive your initial audience to the pages. You want to get people engaged and excited. So whether you have an email list right now or newsletters or social followings, you want to start generating that buzz that you are in fact launching a crowdfunding campaign. There are exclusive deals that can be purchased, and you really want to get that community excitement behind it. And then number 3, you want to have manufacturing secured. Believe me, you do not want to run into the problem where you go through the whole crowdfunding campaign and you still don't have a manufacturing partner secured. That's where your audience or people, your backers, can get a bit frustrated, for example, where maybe the product doesn't get to them in a year or two due to manufacturing issues. So you want to make sure that's secured, because when people back the campaign, naturally you want to get the product or service to them in a timely manner. All right, so how long does a campaign take? That's a very common question. It is speculative, right? But here is kind of a pretty solid breakdown that not only our team uses, but basically any industry expert in crowdfunding uses. So the overall campaign can take anywhere from 4 to 12 months, right? 4 if you're really moving, 12 months if you're kind of getting everything situated as you go. The most important phase is this, what I like to call the pre-launch phase. The first 2 to 3 months are probably going to be the most crucial phase in any crowdfunding campaign. Reason being is you need to really, like I said, you need to start generating that buzz with your own audience, because once you go live here, right, and you could go live on Indiegogo for 30 to 60 days total. Once you go live, you want to have that initial push to your page immediately. The gold standard is if you can raise 30% of your funding goal within the first 48 hours, you're on your way to a very successful campaign. So launch, like I said, is anywhere from 30 to 60 days. The funds transferred takes up to 15 business days through Indiegogo. We use Stripe as our payment processor. 15 days is at most. It usually comes sooner, but 15 days is the window you would receive your funds after the campaign ends. And then this overarching 1 to 6 months is campaign ends to shipping the product. Like I said, that's where having a manufacturing partner in place is key, making sure your shipping fulfillment is in place. And by the way, we do help with all of that. We work with manufacturers and shipping. I'll get more into that, but you're looking to get to product into your consumers' hands within, the next 6 months of a campaign ending. Okay, here going kind of right into it. So, what makes us different, right? If you're wondering what is the key difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter, I'm happy to kind of walk you through that on this page. Indiegogo does very well with tech and innovation products itself. So we have a bit of an older demographic looking to kind of have more like sustainable products in that tech and innovation space. And the other part of it is we have very exclusive data-driven features. So everything on an Indiegogo page can essentially be tracked and reported on, which is just a huge factor. If you've ever run any campaign of any sort, you want that data. It's really crucial to have that data and metrics behind what's working and what's not. So we work with, embedded Facebook, the Google, the GA4, as well as all the perk offerings we have links as well. So you'll be able to see who's buying what, and really helps you understand kind of your margins in terms of the campaign success, as well as just understanding what your audience likes. Probably the biggest difference with Indiegogo is we offer guaranteed promotional support. So how that looks is essentially it's all threshold based. So when your campaign hits our first threshold at $10,000, you get slotted into newsletter placements. And this continually goes up and up, or getting into newsletters, social postings, as well as homepage access to carousels, for example. The other key benefit, right, is if anyone's tried to work with Kickstarter, the joke is that good luck getting in touch with someone there. They don't necessarily have personable interactions like this. It's all email based, where Indiegogo, we have people like myself working with you on campaign strategy and alignment. We also have dedicated account management teams and campaign strategists, all working with you in person, setting up calls, really getting to know your business to really drive it forward. And then last but not least, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but we have a really huge partnership network. So like I said, whether you're trying to get into the big box brand names like the Amazons or Walmarts, how does an Indiegogo campaign, how can that help translate into success there? And then we work with some of the world's best marketing agencies, crowdfunding agencies, as well as manufacturing partners and shipping and fulfillment. Okay, and to kind of drive the point forward, Indiegogo even has our own internal digital services team. And what this is let's say you don't necessarily want to work with a really big box brand agency like a Rain Factory or the crowdfunding formula. You can work directly with us, where we use our historical data to ensure that your campaign aligns with the correct audience. So on average, it's about a 2x average return on investment. It's $70 million raised by digital service campaigns, and it's about a 38% average lift in total funds raised. Like I said, use the experts. We know our data best. So working with our digital service teams, let's say you have a health a new version of a health watch that is a wearable, we can really look at historical data of saying, great, here's some other wearable watches that have done really well. Let's retarget, let's increase the funding rate on these new campaigns. How we do that? Through social media marketing, Google marketing, and then also just remarketing, retargeting within our own internal databases here. I can always send more information on this if people are interested. I would like to go over this one. This guy's very relaxing and fun to listen to. He has a very thick accent, and I absolutely love listening to it every time. So his name's Michael. He's the founder of Izomi. He's a great example of how their Indiegogo campaign, although it didn't raise millions, it raised enough to get attention of angel investors, as well as really, I'll let him do the talking, but it's a quite interesting story.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm one of the founders of Izomi. We make plant-dyed textiles that we sell on our platform, izomi.me, and in retail stores to customers in Europe and the US. Our experience with Indiegogo was pretty amazing. We pretty much started without having any idea. We were with plant dyers, indigo dyers, traditional indigo dyers in Japan, and we thought, like, this is such an amazing process that is, solves a lot of, or could solve a lot of environmental and health problems. Why isn't that turned into a product that the textile industry could use? And basically, we made a video explaining our idea and how we could turn this into a technical process. And we put it out on Indiegogo, and we got an amazing feedback. Not only did we collect enough money to really jumpstart the company, but we also found an angel investor who helped us with advice and money to turn our budding company into a real company, helping us with trademarks, helping us with patent filings, and we really took something away that I think is even more precious than the money, which was the feeling of a community that wants you to succeed. People who vote with their wallet to whether they want to have your product or not, giving you feedback, and also allowing you to do the specific industry and product learning, for your idea, that only you can do yourself, that nobody can teach us you. And this, I think, makes Indiegogo even more amazing than all the other platforms out there. To any budding entrepreneur, I can just recommend as earnest as possible to give Indiegogo or give your idea a go on Indiegogo. You get what I mean? Thank you. Hi, my name is Michael. I'm one of.
Okay, very. I hope you bared with the accent. I love it. It's always a fun video, but the key takeaways of that video are there's a lot of ways to succeed with crowdfunding, right? Going back to my points of, it could be very much a awareness campaign of getting a new product out there, or if you are trying to go kind of all out and hit 100K plus funding goals, it's all attainable. And it opens up a lot of doors. A lot of people view Indiegogo as a really great spot to find the newest tech, newest products out there. So not only consumers, but investors, marketing agencies, you name it, media placements, we've had it all come from here. So what I'll do here now too, I'm also gonna keep sharing my screen and just open up, if I can get this thing out of the way, I'm going to go right into, give me one moment here. Okay, we're back. So here, I just wanted to show, so whether you're familiar or not with Indiegogo, the platform itself, I'll kind of walk through things here. So here's the homepage, right? What I would always recommend, right? First things first, you're going to want to just sign up, get an account. It's pretty straightforward, doesn't cost anything. Sign up there. That way you can kind of just have a home base when needed. But what I always recommend to people is go up here to, you got the Explore tab. Like I said, tech and innovation is our biggest hub. We also have creative works and we also have community projects. So let's say your product itself is in the transportation space or travel and outdoors. I would really start right by finding, okay, maybe there's a product, for example, that really aligns with what I'm doing, right? So let's say we're also in the area of building a really cool surfboard that makes you float over the water like this. Be pretty interesting to try one of these. We'll use this as an example though, right? No need to recreate the wheel, right? A lot of great campaigns have paved the way of how you can structure a working page on Indiegogo. So I would just take advantage of browsing through some of these. And while we're on this page, I'll kind of we'll look through together of some options you can do. Here, kind of the general information of what it is, how many backers they have, the amount, for example, how many days left, and how are they doing on their goal. So they're absolutely crushing it. They're 770% over goal. Another key point too is overfunding on a goal is always a better story to tell than being underfunded. So set a realistic goal that you can surpass, because backers prefer funding goals that are overfunded. It's just a bit more confidence. So on this page, right, you have options. You can back the projects. You can look at the perks here, so you could purchase things immediately. You can also follow. You have all your social media sharings. And here, what's really interesting is, this is where your description page is going to come. Your backers are going to learn everything they need to know right here. And also from a campaign organizer standpoint, I would highly recommend updating your frequently asked questions. It's going to save you a lot of emails from people. And then your updates and discussion, right? Updates are what you want to push to the community. And the discussion tab is some of the questions you're going to directly be getting from your backers. So the discussion tab is a really, really great place to get product feedback or just get a sense of what your community feels about the project. Okay, and then if you want kind of the best of the best, right? Let's say you don't need to recreate the wheel, you just want to see who's doing it the best. Go to our top 10 finds here and learn about some of these teams, because they're doing multi-million-dollar raises here. So really easy to kind of replicate what they're doing in a sense. A couple other two more things I want to address. Starting a campaign is very simple. You would just click start a campaign. You can choose pre-launch or just directly into crowdfunding. The best way to identify the difference is pre-launch will essentially give you time to prep for your live campaign. Nothing will be live. There's no timer. It just allows you to essentially have a landing page that you could start directing early traffic to. Where launching a crowdfunding campaign, that's where you're going directly into setting up your campaign, aligning dates of when to start and end it, and so forth. Last but not least, right? So hopefully I'm valuable, right, in terms of what I've covered, but I know I can't cover everything. It's amazing. This tab right here, Education Center, is about 10,000 times more powerful than I am speaking. I highly, highly recommend going down here and going to our Education Center. This is years of data compiled, and it's essentially a playbook. I mean, you can start right here on creating your campaign, reading all about kind of best efforts and practices. Let's say you need more marketing and PR, you can jump to it, learn about what's worked for people well. So think of this education center as just a massive library for you to use. And then the last but not least tab is the experts directory. I'm going to post both these in the chat as well. Experts directory is, let's say you do need creative services or legal services, packaging, fulfillment, prototyping, manufacturing partners. You can find all of this here and all of our working partnerships. Okay, so I will, let me jump back to my slide now, wherever it is. Oh, it's not about me. One moment, team. Some technical difficulties today with this. All right. Okay, so I'll end here. Put this back up. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I'm looking forward to going through questions here. Could open up as Q&A. What I'll do, I'll just read questions in the chat in sequential order, or if people would just like to ask their questions, more than happy to structure that as needed. So thank you. Okay, got some chats here. Well, very cool. Love seeing that people did share kind of what they're working on. Like I said, a lot of webinars are really great for doing things like this. Very nice. Okay, well, I guess I'll open it up. Does anyone have any specific questions or things we'd want to talk about?
For me, the biggest frustration has been getting the mechanics of things going. I guess I don't want to throw it on my age, but I'm old enough that a lot of the mechanics of electronic, communications and stuff are they're not second nature to me, and so I'm having trouble. I've got a website, but it turns out that it's not a website that'll support a link to Indiegogo, and I'm just I'm running into a lot of frustrations about that. Do I need to have? Do I want to have? It seems to me that I should have my own website, but I'm not sure how much of a website Indiegogo has available.
Yeah, so in terms of, and just to kind of clarify, are you planning to go direct to consumer directly on your website, or are you looking to use Indiegogo as kind of integrated into your website?
Well, I'm going to be pretty much going individually. My product is big enough that I'm not going to be able to send it by UPS or whatever. So it's going to be, almost a manufacturing type of thing. Somebody's going to order one and have it sent, as far as I can figure out. Anyway, so I want to be able to. I think eventually I want to be able to have people be able to order it online, but I really haven't got to that point to deciding specifically our marketing channels. I'm thinking it would be smartest to try to distribute, go through distributors and stuff, and then shipping becomes a more manageable function.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, perhaps David, we can connect more offline on it too, but it sounds like what you can do, the question would be to internalize whether to go direct to consumer on your website, where you have to do a lot of kind of the marketing itself. Kind of like one of the main questions is, why would I even need Indiegogo when I could just launch the product myself?
Well, no, that's not what the question. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at expressing the question. So I'm I'm sold on the idea of trying to build a base of, a fan base, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I've gone out to try to establish a presence on Facebook and LinkedIn, and then also through Substack to try to build followings on those, so that I have a few more than just my immediate contacts to contact once we get ready to launch.
Mhm.
Uh, but I don't, the website that I have is pretty sparse,
Yeah.
and and they're not, anyway, that's a long story. Anyway, that's the question is, what's the will the Indiegogo site, in other words, if somebody goes to the to Indiegogo and says, hey, I want to look at this funding project,
Mhm.
can they get the information that they need right off of the Indiegogo site?
Yeah, so you would essentially you'd structure your Indiegogo page to directly
Okay.
reflect your product in this case. Like
Okay.
that way it's a bit more streamlined where one, you're trying to validate kind of, hey, like this product specifically, for example, that's where the crowdfunding page would be most convenient and valuable. Structuring
Right.
it just off
Okay.
essentially like the product itself.
Right.
And Dave, let's talk more. I want to get through some other questions, but
Sure.
I can
Sure.
help you. I understand the pain point, so I'm happy to connect with you on that.
Okay.
David, I'll get to you next. Lisa, you had a question in the chat. So how successful are campaigns that are upgrades to existing apps, platforms? So if I'm understanding this correctly, if you already have a product or service or app that's already established in a market or in the marketplace, how successful can crowdfunding campaigns go to it? The answer kind of lies in essentially what you would push to that page. So the answer, for example, you can have an already existing product and still successfully crowdfund for it. Naturally, your audience may want, perhaps there's new features that they can use if they back the campaign. But it is very common that you don't need a brand new product. You can have a version 2 of a product or anything in that realm, and crowdfunding can still be very successful there. Yeah. So in that case, Lisa, okay, perfect. Yeah, and we could connect more, but Lisa's question was, yes, it would be a complete overhaul of our existing platform. It's a perfect fit for crowdfunding because what you're also trying to do is seeing if this overhaul is worth it, right? Is it valuable to our current or upcoming audience? Yeah, great question there. David, I know you had a question.
Sure. Can you hear me with my headphones okay?
I sure can. Yes.
All right, great. So I've been studying a lot on the whole crowdfunding in the past few months with our business that we're now starting to raise money. So the way that we wanted to use the campaign is really to start building our social awareness, get some early traction with people, and not necessarily use the campaign to raise money, but do as like a pre-launch offering with a few different packages.
Mm-hmm.
Our business, Dad Bod Bootcamp, my partner's nationally recognized celebrity. So he's got like 650,000 followers on Instagram. So I really want to use that to push the lever to get a lot of exposure. Then I know it'll kind of help us with our investors and then do the campaign and then know that we're ready in 3 to 6 months to launch the product.
Yes. I mean, you said it very well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on with kind of like a preemptive plan of, like I said, I can't stress enough the importance of getting that pre-launch phase set. I've seen some of the best products in the world, that should fundamentally be raising millions fall really short because they just can't generate that kind of excitement of their product with their own audience. Because at the end of the day, David, to your point, a great example is you're going to know your audience better than we are, right? So kind of helping drive that initial traffic. You had mentioned, you got some, like very high level followers. Like how do you basically make call to actions to drive them to those pages?
Right, right. And we're working on like an intro video now to demo the product because unlike weight loss apps, we're a text-based program that uses AI. So like I'm showing like demonstrations of me typing and okay, this is what the conversations are to kind of visualize it for people to say, oh, what their end result will be. So just to get I think I don't know, kind of raise as much buzz as possible and just that initial emotional connection for people.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and like that's where, like I mean, I think we all know by now, like video marketing is king or queen, whatever the preference, right? Video marketing, highlighting the product or service on a very like detailed level with good video quality. It's all kind of the right plays. And we even have, not only in that experts directory, but that's really at the core of what we do when we connect with teams and founders of saying, great, like let's evaluate kind of the materials you have now, like, and based on kind of historical data of success, like this works really well, or commonly of like, let's A/B test, right? Like this may work really well with this campaign audience, but why don't we also test this and see who else it attracts, who else we may be missing. So yeah,
Awesome.
I have to connect with you on that as well too. These are all really good questions, by the way, right? I've been in, I've hosted these for a while. Yeah, some questions are hit or miss, but I think there's a lot of good questions here that kind of sparks the curiosity side of things. So Mo, you got a question?
Yes. Hey, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, got you.
Thank you. My question is, what's the best way to, I guess, get feedback on a concept for a product or a service? Do you recommend doing like a pre-launch or maybe hosting some kind of discussion or just going right to crowdfunding on like an early concept? How can you get some feedback to see if the market has even an interest or the platform?
Yeah. It's a super great question. I think there's a couple ways to do it. It would kind of all depend on the goal and resources you have available for it. So if you're trying to do this in the very bootstrapped way, right, I would launch the pre-launch page first and just see if you can start generating a following through the newsletters there. Pre-launch for everyone listening, pre-launch is a really low risk way to start where, for example, let's say you took some time to make a really good video of a product or service or even a founder's story, right? That's another part of this too, is a lot of people like to buy into the founder's story. That pre-launch is going to be kind of the low risk way of even testing that, Mo, of saying, hey, here's our initial idea. How you can elevate that too is, you could also, let's say you do want to kind of fund some, leg of the business. You could take that pre-launch and go right into the, standard campaign and, just set a more realistic goal, right? If it's your first time doing a crowdfunding campaign, let's say, $10,000 will, help you develop, version 2 design of this. Do you have enough backing now from your pre-launch to potentially hit $10,000 or even $5,000, right? Just some sort of small success or a case study that you can highlight like that is helpful.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to ask one. I'll try to keep it quick.
Yep.
I don't have for sending out perks. I don't have, I'm not going to be able to send out a windmill for the perk. Do people respond well enough to t-shirts and hats and stickers? Is that with a picture of the product. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, I mean, perks are really interesting, right? So like, I've seen, as you mentioned, like hats, t-shirts, or mugs do well, and I've also seen it not do so well. Kind of always is going to depend on your product or service. Like for example, like just to kind of put it out there of how creative some people get, I worked with a film production team, and their top perk, they were actually flying people out to the film premiere. So they would pay for ticket, lodging, and get them tickets. So sky's the limit with perks. I always try to stress, just try to be creative with them of, David, and, naturally, I don't know what you're working on, but if it's something that people care about, how can you actually involve them in the process, or is it something that, maybe apparel could work, but could someone be really interested in what you're doing to where they would want to pay for the experience part of it too?
Right. And another thought on perks is that if they give a big contribution, could we apply that to the future, to a discount on the future, once we get the thing done, which we don't know when it'll be, but we'll give you a coupon, and it'll be good for, could be even the value of whatever you're contributing now against the price of the finished.
Possibly. I would need to learn more. Like, so for example, we don't do raffles that like violates our trust and safety. But
Sure.
coupons, I will kind of foreshadow this in saying the perks, a lot of times perks, or people are going to Indiegogo to already find the exclusive deals. So you'll probably already have things discounted as opposed to your kind of original MSRP pricing. But like I said, again, it's speculative. Like you can get creative with perks. Raffles, though, I do know raffles kind of in that same shade. Raffles violate kind of trust. So.
Sure.
Lisa, you got another question here. What is the best way to reach as many people as possible in addition to email lists and social media? We have a following, but it's not as large as some of the campaigns that we have seen. Well, Lisa, if you answer that, you answered the $1 million question. But jokes aside, reaching as many people as possible, there's a lot of organic ways to do it, and kind of like the guerrilla marketing sense, where I always encourage people to look into like channel marketing, where a good example would be, let's say, I'm using a very basic example here. Let's say you want to build a new basketball court in your local town and city. Sure, you can go knock on 1,000 doors every day, and that's a great way to do it, but also takes a lot of time. I would start looking for who else involved in this made up city that we're talking about, potentially maybe the YMCA, where they already have a mass following. Maybe they already have 5,000 followers. Would they be open to supporting your campaign? And potentially where if they kind of promote your campaign, maybe you can do some sort of, kickback to them, for example. So that's one method. The other very proven out go-to method is working with a marketing agency. That's going to be your best bang for your buck. These are professional teams that specifically focus in the crowdfunding space. That's the Rain Factories, TCF, NWC Digital, Russell Marketing. These are all teams that, really ensure that, where great, like they know qualified leads is going to be the solution to a successful campaign, and they help you get those numbers. Awesome. Cool. Okay. So we are kind of wrapping up on time here. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here for a moment and drop in the chat my direct booking link. That way, look, I know it's always hard to cover everything in just these quick chats, but that link in the chat, you could book. It's 15 or 30 minutes with me. I'm available anytime to chat. So. Okay, does anyone, well, I actually stopped questions. I want to be, I just want to be respectful of people's times. But thank you again. I do hope it was valuable. And, you know, our team's always here to kind of have chats, conversations, anything needed to move the needle forward.
How does a one-on-one work?
Oh, I just, David, I dropped the time in the chat so you could book directly with me here. But the one-on-one chat is kind of structured however we'd like. You know, if we want to talk campaign specifics or just overall strategy, it's however we would want to take it.
All right. Okay.
Cool. All right. Thank you all. And
Thank you very much.
all right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian?
Bye.
Bye.
Before you go, Brian,
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks.
Brian, can you hear me?
I can. Hey, Johan.
Yeah, sorry, I'm from South Africa, so that link that you sent for the one-on-one meetings.
That's probably a little tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind staying up late. It's just I clicked on that now. I just want to open it up here again. Sorry, I'm dodging my camera here. It's in front of my screen. Okay, so for instance, I'm looking at Friday, the 26th. It gave me certain times, 7:45 p.m., 8:45 p.m. That's my time, not your time.
Correct. That's going to be scheduled to your time. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to book you for 8:30 to 9 then.
Okay. All sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Then.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.